Welcome back to another episode of the Hooligans Pitch. As always, it is Michael and Chad coming at you with all the footy talk. We are in Matchday 9 of the English Premier League, and we're ready to go. Some cool things happened this week, but first, let's pop our beers because we always forget because we want to get on top of the things that have happened. Chad, I'm drinking a Bobber.
Ooh.
Bobber. It's just a Missouri lager.
A Missouri lager. How's that compare to other lagers?
You should come find out. I don't. Okay. At this rate, I don't know anymore. It's all the same to me.
Fair enough. Well, we are recording this a little bit late, so yes. I've already had dinner, and so I'm having some white wine.
Oh, good for you.
You know, made a little chicken Alfredo earlier. I gotta go with the white wine.
Hello. Coming to Chef Chad over there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Slicing and dicing. Okay. Let's jump into it because I'm ready to talk. I've been dying to talk. It's been almost 2 weeks now since we've had a chat. The international break was awesome. I love when we get just a little bit of time off, but I do miss our time together, and I feel like this is our venting period. And
exactly,
this might be your time to vent right now. Chad, are you okay drawing Chelsea?
Okay, I think about sums it up.
You're not happy about it.
Not happy with the draw. Like,
that's fair.
Like, this Chelsea side is just not good enough to one, be taking a 2-goal lead, and then 2, to even come away with the draw. I don't know. It looked like it was just. I mean, the weather was definitely against both teams, I guess. But I think tactically, like, Arteta was maybe a little bit slow to adjust. Like, it looked like Chelsea did really well of just kind of crowding out that midfield. Like, I think for the majority of the game, they didn't really play with, like, a true striker. Like, they just kind of sat in the midfield and...
they overloaded it, for sure.
Yeah, clogged up all the holes. And... So, yeah, I think Arteta probably should have caught on to that earlier and made changes sooner, whether that was just tactics or, an early sub just to move things around. I don't know. Right. But, I mean, yeah.
The PK. Let's just talk about the PK first. The Saliba handball. No bias, coming in as a neutral, best I can here. That was a handball. I don't know how you kind of argue against it.
For me, it's one of those really harsh handball calls, but it is always going to be called a handball.
And I was shocked. The commentators were saying, this referee, this is going to be really harsh. But I was like, I was like, nah. I was like, to me, it didn't seem that way, just because of how I guess upwards his arm was. It was not close to his side. There's no
No, yeah, and I think we've seen plenty of handballs kind of called in these kind of situations before, where just because the ball is close doesn't necessarily mean just because your hand is now away from your body, that negates the unnatural position. And
right.
I've seen the argument of it's a natural movement as he's kind of jumping and diving towards the ball. I get that, but in today's game, this has been called a handball and always will be called a handball. Unfortunately, it just happened inside the box.
Yeah. Now, for me, that wasn't even the most dramatic part of this sequence. When the PK was being taken, Cole Palmer, who took the last PK Chelsea had, grabbed the ball, and you just see Raheem Sterling kind of weirdly freaking out and taking the ball from Cole Palmer. And then these two players getting their advice from 22-year-old Enzo Fernandez saying oh no, let's let Cole take it. And I'm just I'm trying to, put myself on the pitch with these guys and wondering the dynamics of who's in charge of Chelsea right now? Who is it?
I think that's maybe where Sterling's coming from, is he has seniority, right?
I agree. So I'm thinking of Sterling. I'm trying to be in his shoes right now. And he's I want to take this PK. And I got Cole Palmer, who's maybe, I think he's 20, if I had to really say his age.
I know he's pretty young. Yeah.
Call him 20. I don't think he's any older. And then you got
21.
21, and then you got 22-year-old Enzo saying like, no, give it, and like I'm sure Sterling's like, dude, I've been to Champions League finals, I've won this Premier League, like I'm just wondering if this is gonna like either open up like a bad chemistry door in that dressing room because like no one's in charge, and like Sterling is supposed to be the most experienced person on that club besides Thiago Silva, which I did see him mouth in the corner, "F them kids," because of because of how shitty they were playing, and I don't blame him for saying it. But it's fascinating right now how this club is just still directionless. And I think if you would have flipped the script, if Arsenal would have gone up 2-0 and Chelsea came back, you would have felt way worse. But because it was like the PK that happened and the weird Mudryk goal that he was never even trying to do, let's be honest. That probably should have been an Arsenal win.
And that's the thing. I think that's why I'm like not happy, but okay with it, because first half was weird and sloppy. But second half, Arsenal played much better. Got the 2 goals to get the draw. And then you really just lost on like 2 kind of freak moments. Saliba handball, which that ball could have went an inch higher and missed his arm, and maybe went in, maybe got saved, I don't know. But and then Mudryk's cross that just finds its way into the goal. Like it's Chelsea away, so I guess you take a draw anyway. Like you rather take the point, still undefeated in the league, so not the most joyous of days, but it's
wasn't the prettiest of footy being watched either.
Yeah, and that's just kind of how it goes. And I mean, the only other like moment from that that maybe could have swayed the game one way or the other is Sanchez like running out of his goal to punch the ball away, and doesn't get the ball and takes out Jesus. And
you can do that.
You could do that. If you're a keeper, you could do that. And I feel like that's similar to the Onana versus Wolves one earlier in the season, where the refs came out later on and apologized that should have been a PK, and
so
they seem to have forgotten that. So
are you waiting for this apology coming up? I would be.
No,
really?
I mean,
no, you don't think they are gonna? I bet they will.
At this point, I don't think so. I think they would have said something sooner. Like game was on Saturday. Here we are, Tuesday, almost into Wednesday. Like
I know we even say what day we're doing this. Holy moly! Yeah, we're a little.
I think like there wasn't enough uproar about it that they feel like they can just kind of like brush it under the rug and move on.
Well, it's kind of a good segue. If you're okay with this, is there anything else you want to say about this game in general?
I mean, Declan Rice, love the guy, worth every penny.
Top lad. This is a segue to the Liverpool Everton game, because Liverpool won 2-0. After the end of the game, reporter asked Klopp, I don't know if you saw this, saying Konate probably should have gotten that second yellow. Do you think this game needs to be replayed? And like he said, I don't have his exact quote, but he said, "That's a ridiculous question." And then they moved on from the subject. It was something along. He didn't answer the question. He said, that's pretty much what a dumb question. So I don't know. I feel like this is just going to be the wrap for the next year of just, if anything double yellow is supposed to happen, it's just going to have this weird influence on everyone else. And especially when a red card has already been dealt, and like it's the returning, like if Konate would have went out after Everton lost to Ashley Young, that could have been a very different game. So I don't know. It's hard to say what they should have done, what they could have done. It just sucks now that this is just a staple of the season.
It's just it's another mark or like highlight of just the inconsistencies in the reffing, right? Like, is that called a foul elsewhere? If it's not, potential second yellow and sending off? Probably, but it wasn't in this situation, and that's just how the reffing is going this season, where it's like seems to be very a situational and like very like context based of like where the game is at, and
Yeah, for sure.
if there's like is any like true malice in the tackle or something,
Yeah, but the Ashley Young red card just happened so early, so it's
Yeah.
like,
I mean, yeah, I feel like because that happened early on, and Mark Canate's second foul was a little bit later on, like probably could have
would have been
gave
like
him
the,
the
yeah, 53rd minute or so.
yeah. I mean, yeah, probably could have went for it, and not risked blowing the game or taking the sting out of it or anything. But I don't know. Just depends on the ref you get that week.
It's an awful system, and I want to say, I mean, this is probably for me. This is easily the second most watched football season I've been paying attention to, like, just stats wise and everything. We followed it very closely for close to the last decade, but I mean, the last two seasons, for this podcast and everything, we've paid way closer attention. And I want to say
Certainly,
last year, was it this ref mistake heavy? Like, were we missing it? I don't know. I'd have to go back and like actually listen to see what we complained about, but I don't remember doing this much. And I think the Liverpool game was a highlight of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, definitely something we've never seen before, but damn, man.
I feel like last season it was a lot of just VAR decisions that were like very questionable. But they like got to VAR and to a decision, rather than like this season it seems like there's a lot of just like indecision, or like not like a being afraid to use VAR, but I think they're trying to be a little bit more I guess picky about when they call in VAR. But then we've also seen the situations where VAR just kind of steps in because they want to, like so it's just all over the place. And unfortunately that's just, it's part of it. Like, it reminds me of Arteta's like early quotes of like, you have to just like win the game, or like put yourself in the best position to get something from the game before like any bad reffing decision can happen, right? Like, you gotta just like, I don't know, like somehow figure out a way to start strong, get your goals, and then if a red card happens or a weird foul or whatever, like you have that little bit of a cushion. But
it's out of your control when you're a team.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that way, but here we are.
It's not a bad line to say to your team. I was, after the red card happened though, I was a little worried, just because I'm sure the pressure was, God, it's like Liverpool so much this season has been down a man or down a goal, and we need to find like a way to climb back up. And then once we climb a little bit, we get momentum to then like go over the top, right?
Yeah.
We go up a man here, we go, oh, we've never been in this situation. We're like, it's Everton. We should just like cry. And that's kind of how it felt to me. It was like, we should be crushing these guys, but we don't like know where the gas pedal is.
Yeah.
And luckily a ball hit a hand in the box, and I was really nervous that wasn't going to be called a PK on Sir Michael Keane. And then after that PK happened, Chad, it was like, the switch was flipped into like 120 miles per hour, and then they get the second goal not long after that first one.
Yep.
I guess it was technically roughly 15 minutes, but in extra time, and like you knew it was coming. The pressure was there, and Nunez turned on his jets and made the right pass that we all knew. Maybe not all of us knew it was coming, but last year when we all bitched about it, it finally came true this year. And I think we all need to eat our words and be very happy that this man's 9 assists are all going to Mo Salah.
It's quite the stat. I mean, especially considering how he played last season was like, he would get in those positions like he did on this Saturday, and then he would shoot. Like, Salah could be wide open, even more open than he was for this goal, and Nunez would have just shot.
He was not open for this goal. He had to nail that. He had to nail that pass. And
Yeah,
like
he did it.
it's a beautiful thing. And I'm just like, I hope this just like, I don't know. I think it will. I think it'll make him way more confident and motivated to just be the guy to assist, because that's how Liverpool has like orchestrated the last 6-7 years between Firmino and dishing out his wingers. Like, this is all this guy has to do. He's doing a lot to Salah. I'm sure he's got to figure out how to do it to Diaz now. But they almost play in like a line like this. So my pen is, it's like Diaz down here, Nunez here, Salah here, and they're all like overlapping each other, and somehow Salah is the one finding his way to the ball. My worry is now, like, if Salah leaves, like, okay, how do we fill that gap? And that's where I see like the Nunez Liverpool face is now that's when that's going to happen. And I feel like this is all just a big boost for him to get to where he needs to be. But that game was good post 75th minute for me. Didn't feel good. Didn't feel good about the first 75, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, this Everton team is, pretty scrappy. Not good, but on their day, like, they can, pack in and park the bus pretty good, and just make it hard to get through and find the smallest gap to even get a shot off. So I think it was always going to take some time, just because I think Liverpool right now is kind of playing more for the counter than like really building up at the moment, which, I mean, makes sense. You still got Salah, you got Nunez with his pace, Diaz with his pace, and now you got Szoboszlai and McAllister in the mid behind them. So it's like they're pretty well set for the counter. It's just hard to get that counter opportunity against a team that's just going to sit back. So I made you wait for it, but like, I think a win was always on the books here.
And it was a trap game. It was, Liverpool has been a part of like the 15 of the last like 21 early morning games after international break, which is just crazy. And the next closest is 6. I think it's Tottenham. So like, how do we have 9 more than any other team at this rate? Like, we just stopped having the earliest game after international breaks. It's going to take other teams like 4 or 5 years to catch up to us.
I mean, you would think, because there's maybe 4 or 5 international breaks throughout a season.
Yeah.
Right. So just like rotate the teams, you would think, right?
It makes
that seems the easiest way to me.
It makes no sense why we are getting played the most at that time. Yeah. And like, I don't know. I'm sure it affects every player in terms of like what time they wake up, what time they eat. When, like, I get it. There's a routine. But other teams should have to deal with that. It shouldn't just be Liverpool every time. So I don't know. But other than that, I'm cool with it. We were top of the table for a quick minute. Felt nice. Yeah. It looked good to see us at the top. But then, other teams rolled through. So I guess we can talk about the number 2 team now. Man City and Brighton still without Rodrigo. And if we were to go back 3 weeks, and we talked about the Wolves, Arsenal, and Brighton playing Man City, it would have been flipped at the start of Brighton winning and Wolves losing 2-0.
Yeah.
And with that, I think I'm just disappointed in how Brighton played in this. I thought they could have been much better. They looked like they weren't ready for that next step because of this game. They looked scared of City. They sat back. It didn't look like they were their normal aggressive selves. The top scoring team in the Premier League going into this game, if you would have told me that was about this team, I wouldn't have believed you. Now they are the I believe the most one of the top goals allowed team. I think they're like 16th, or I guess 4th. They've allowed the 4th. Yeah, they've allowed 18 goals this year, and that's 4th most. So like, that tells me they should be attacking a ton. And in this game, they just got scared of City. It looked like City controlled it. They took it down to their end whenever they wanted. It looked like, Rodri. They didn't need him. And the last 2 games that we saw City play, it looked like they didn't know how to function.
Yeah.
So I'm just sad that Brighton played this way, because I think they're much better than that. And I don't know.
Yeah.
It scares me a little.
it feels um, like I don't know, maybe this Brighton team, like you just should have relied a little bit on like more experienced players. I think that might have played a little bit of a part of that like scaredness. Just because like you got Adringa in there who scored a great goal. What, last week of the year before? He's 21 though. Like I think
Super
this is his
young.
first year with Brighton. So like he's maybe he was a little bit out of his depth there. You Solly March is playing left back. It looks like from what the
Well,
lineup is showing.
because Milner's hurt, and that's what I'm saying. They're relying on like Milner to be the
Yeah,
savior. So then, if Milner's not there, then we got to reset that player, and then that's not our normal formation. It's not what I expected this team to roll out, and I do think all these transfers they made might have just been a little too soon. They might have jumped the gun a little bit here, and in the last
yeah,
5 games they've played, Chad, loss, draw, loss.
yeah. I mean that they're kind of in that weird sort of kind of like rebuild phase, I guess, where it's like they're buying up a lot of young players. But now I don't know if they're buying to, like Arsenal bought really young players and is keeping them and re-signing them to new contracts and everything. Where it seems like Brighton's play could maybe be more of just like buy the young player. If he pops off like Caicedo did or Matoma did, cool. We either keep him for a few years or we can sell him for another 100 million or something. Like Evan Ferguson is 19 or whatever and has scored a handful of goals, but they know the striker market's pretty barren, and now you have a young Premier League experienced striker. If someone wants to come knocking for him, they'll ask 100 million, and someone's going to pay it because we've seen some of these other players go for much less experience. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in come the winter window, and especially over the next couple years if they're really trying to build something or just staying in Premier League and selling players for as much money as they can.
I sadly think it's the second part,
Yeah, yeah.
which is a bummer because I really want to because I love the way they have played in the last,
Mhm.
probably the beginning of the season, the first 5 or 6 games, rather than the last
Yeah,
3 or 4. A very let's move, let's go as quick as we can, let's turn the speed on, and then be up 4-0 at the
yeah,
65th minute, and then if they score or two, whatever, it's fine. It's not a big deal. We already got this game in the bag. Matoma's the only one who tried to do that against City, and
yeah,
dude, he had some moves that were just special, and that is just a sign that they're gonna get rid of him soon. I'm sorry.
yeah.
I I,
I
I
mean,
I think he is bigger than Brighton.
yeah, yeah. I know he just signed a new deal, but I think that was purely to increase the price they can sell him for. Like they would have re-signed him anyway to keep the talent that he is, but I think they know based off of last season, and he's just picking up where he left off this season. They know that big teams will come knocking soon, sign him to a new deal, increase that asking price. Yeah, I'd love to see him stay with Brighton longer, just because it is nice to see a not Big Six team that can compete. But if Brighton's not going to like truly build to do that, then Matoma's got to go somewhere. He's too good to sit in Brighton. Where he goes, I don't know. If it's not Arsenal, I hope it's outside of the Premier League.
I think I think AC Milan has a good thing brewing. I could see him going to AC Milan or Barcelona. I think those are my
Barcelona.
two. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout. I mean, I'm gonna throw the PSG out there only because the Mbappe thing is, he's probably going to Real next summer, which opens up that left wing. I don't know. I don't want to see Matoma go there and waste his career, but
What about Man U? If we're gonna say domestic,
um, Well, we've seen what Rashford's been doing, so
That's my point.
you take a Matoma, you take a Rashford. I think right now everyone's taking
You take
Matoma.
Matoma. So that's kind of my like.
Yeah,
We can segue into Man U
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Man U, man, they had to grind that one out against Sheffield, and I was like, they did not deserve to win that game in any way, shape, or form. This team is, it's Sheffield. Like even today
Yeah.
when they played, they barely got by in the Champions League, and I'm just shocked at kind of. I think they could be way worse in the table right now. I think they're 10th, so they're right in the middle. Or I guess they're 8th right now.
Yeah.
And I'd argue they're worse than Chelsea.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, their back line is so bad. Everyone's injured.
Yeah.
Casemiro was out with his swollen ankle, and he's 32. Their 19-year-old striker, the other Hoyland is struggling just because lack of experience. I worry for them.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a weird team right now. Like, I think it's a weird mix of like proven successful experienced players and then like kind of middle of the road players or like promising. I guess like Hoyland could be promising. We don't really know enough yet, right? And
Yep.
like Anthony I guess is promising, but we're like
Garnacho.
seeing Garnacho is like promising, and it's like you have this just, I think it's just not the right balance. And I think we talked about it like last season too. It just, the balance didn't feel right. And, a lot of their success came from like, I don't want to say luck, but kind of lucky wins or got the right person in the right moment to get the goal, whether it's, Bruno cutting through or Rashford when he went on his like, 6, 7, 8 game streak of scoring.
That
like,
January, February got them into Champions League.
Yeah, so I mean, like, but like your depth can't be. It could be Harry Maguire. I'll give you Harry Maguire. He could be part of your defensive depth, but it can't be Johnny Evans, who's what, like 36, 38 or something. 35, okay, 35. But like, he can't be the guy that you have to go to now.
It is.
It is, but it's just a I don't know, weird mix of player. I think they're, as a team, like incredibly average. I think the wins they do get come from these players that do have some skill in them, but aren't like your superstar that can carry the team.
Okay, but Chad, here's their wins this season. Okay, the Wolves, Forest, Burnley, Crystal, Brentford, Sheffield.
Yeah. So
who's the hardest team on that list? Wolves, Forest, Burnley, Sheffield, like, Brentford, Palace.
I would say
Palace?
Brentford or Palace, but like I think when they played Brentford wasn't looking great, right?
They lost. They won. They beat Brentford 2-1.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. I mean,
that was the Scott McTominay double plus 90.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, so,
see, luck. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, and their schedule. Their schedule just kind of reminds me of Tottenham right now, where it's like well, Tottenham is playing, I'd say, a similar level of maybe not skill, but rank of team. Like they both played like fairly low end with a touch or two of higher end in there.
But they're getting it done.
But Tottenham's getting it done. They're getting the points where they should be getting the points. Where United is struggling, and when they do get the points, like they're still struggling.
It don't look good. back-to-back wins against Brentford and Sheffield, and took you to they took you to the brink.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll see what how good United looks this weekend, because it's Manchester Derby.
I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, it could be United's awakening or just a slaughter.
I think it's the slaughter. And also, I was wrong. Crystal Palace beat Man U. Man U beat Crystal Palace in the English Cup.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So Palace, they lost to Palace. So Brentford,
Yeah.
it goes to Brentford then.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This United team is not good. I think 8th is, flattering right now.
Who do you think their leading goal scorer is?
Leading goal scorer. Maybe Casemiro? He's got to be close.
Casemiro has 1.
Okay. Well, okay. I mean, otherwise I would say Bruno, but I don't remember a lot of goals from him.
Bruno has 2. Everyone else under Bruno has 1 besides Scott McTominay.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. But that's not who you want to be leading.
Yeah. With 3 in 248 minutes and 3 appearances. So
yeah,
that's what you're getting out of Man U right now. So it's fun. I love these teams that are just crashing and burning around us. All right, let's do Brentford and Burnley. Pretty straightforward. Brentford kind of ran them out of the building. No surprises there. Anything notable you want to say? I guess the goal by help me say his name.
It was a Godos? Gatos?
I'm gonna
summon Godos?
Summon Godos? We'll do Godos.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, nice hit from
Nail in the coffin.
Top of the box, yeah. I think it's just, for whatever reason, the teams that came up this season, it was just like none of them were really ready. Sheffield has looked rough. Burnley's maybe looked the most promising, but just can't really get anything done. Luton kind of has these sparks, but still, just I don't know. I don't know that any of them will stay.
I would put money on them all going back down. Mm-hmm. And it's funny we bring up this, talk about them just looking like they don't belong. Our good friend Zach, our lead supporter, posted the top 5 in the championship table right now, and I wasn't shocked by it. No. Have you looked at it recently?
No, I haven't.
They're on week 13 right now. Mm-hmm. The first place team has 12 wins and 1 loss. Any idea who that team might be?
12 wins and 1 loss.
They have 2 goal scorers with 5 goals and 1 with 4.
Is it Norwich?
It is Leicester City. Vardy and Iheanacho are absolutely shredding this league apart.
They couldn't get a goal last season, and all of a sudden
they're popping off, dude. They haven't lost in quite a while, and they're smoking teams. They've outscored them 27-7, 36 points in 13 games. I think it's safe to say they'll probably come right back up.
Looking like it, yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to point out what Leicester's doing. And then I saw some other funny Leicester news this week. Did you see the Trent Alexander-Arnold, James Maddison kind of beef with each other?
No.
Maddison, they're doing their English training stuff, and Maddison was giving Trent some shit about the Spurs and Liverpool game and how his technique on something, blah, blah, blah. And Trent was like, oh, that's nice. He's like, oh, I wanted to show you what I did. And he shows him a free kick that Trent was taking against Leicester, and he was like, "This is the goal that relegated you guys," and I was like, "Damn, like that's brutal."
Yikes.
But he was pretty proud of that one, and I could see why. He's like, "Yeah, shut him up."
Yeah,
I was like, "That's
damn,
fair."
that's cold.
That was cold, but also James Madison, stop trying to show off.
That's it, Got to put him in his place sometimes.
Yep, that's right. Okay, Bournemouth Wolves. Nothing too crazy there. We did see.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm gonna. Hwang Hee Chan act the best acting I've probably seen this season. Got a little knock on the head. Went full ground.
Yeah.
Producing a red card.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely
straight red. It was straight red.
Yeah, he definitely embellishes it, but like, you just can't put yourself in the situation to even like let them look at that. The foul initially, I think it was Cook is the one that got sent off.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he definitely kicks through him. Like it's definitely a hard yellow. So just leave it at that. Like let him get up, feel a little, say something, whatever. But like the moment you just move your head towards him, like it's getting looked at, whether it really hits him that hard or not. Like it's just one of those that they don't really mess around with. So like you lost the game.
That's when egos kick in. And it's just like, dude, you could have just walked away. You could turn your back, walk the other way. But I'm not saying like I'm gonna blame my teammates, but if you know who the hothead on your team is,
Yeah.
And the one who's gonna like be stubborn. I'm not saying his teammates should have like pulled him away, but it could have been very easy, I think, to just be like to get in the way of something you see coming. So for me, that tells me that Bournemouth, I don't know. I could see them not all buying into each other, especially how poorly they've been playing.
Yeah.
And they don't really care how this season's going.
I mean, yeah, you're, 9 games in, you haven't won a game. Like, tension is it. Yeah, like tension's probably high even at practice and training and stuff. And, on one hand, like you could try and use one of these moments to like spur up some energy and get going. But, unfortunately when it results in a red card for you, it doesn't work so well. So yeah, I don't know. I think like if it's not the 3 newly promoted teams going down, it's because Bournemouth just never got going, and 9 games in they haven't. So we'll see how it goes. But
Everton,
so far,
you're still on that list too. Everton's there, but at least they've shown a little fight.
Yeah.
God, it's ridiculous. Out of those 3 teams, though, good segue. Luton Town, I think, has probably showed the most fight coming up. They're not in the relegation zone. They're very close, but at least they're producing goals and creating chances. Their draw against Forest, I think, shows that they can at least do a little something.
And that's the thing is like those first few games, they looked just
pretty bad.
Not up to speed. And I think after the first maybe 3 games or so, they've had these moments where they look like they can keep up. They look like they can create some chances and opportunities to get a goal. So I think if one's gonna make it up, stay up, it's probably them. They look like they're heading in the right direction in that sense. Yeah, I mean you're not far out of the relegation zone, but I think that probably does a lot just for the morale of the squad of like, 9 games in, like what, a third plus a little bit through the season, and you're not in the relegation zone. So like, we're doing good, guys. Keep it up. Keep working for each other, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see what they can do. It's just, yeah, that Everton, Luton, Burnley, Bournemouth, Sheffield. You could throw any 3 of them, and it would probably make sense.
Yeah, you can pull 3 and be like, "Yep, that makes sense. Those are the worst teams."
Yep.
But this leads me, Chad, to a new game I want to play. Is just score of next week, and I want to do Aston Villa and Luton. What do you think that score line might be? We just saw Aston Villa demolish West Ham 4-1.
Yeah.
Not even close. And Luton probably look their best against Forest.
Yeah.
Do you think this could be a struggle for Villa?
I don't know if I'd say struggle. I think I'm going to say it's maybe 2-1 to Villa. I think they'll come away, with the win somewhat easily. But like, I don't think it'll be as simple to break them down as they did with West Ham. Like, I think Luton will put up a good fight. Yeah, I mean, it could be that one of those trap games where it's just like, team on fire versus, bottom team, and mentality is a little bit off, and then Villa will get taken advantage of. But
okay, well,
I'm feeling 2-1.
2-1. Okay, now I want you to do one more thing. I want you to pick a player from any team that isn't chosen in our fantasy league, and that person will be the highest point getter. I want you to try to believe who you think will
From that game?
From that game. Who isn't chosen in our league. So no Watkins, no Pau
Can I choose
Torres.
a player? Can I choose a player who I'm thinking of putting in my team?
Absolutely. Who are you thinking of putting in your team?
Well, okay.
From
Pau Torres
Forest?
has not been
Oh,
getting the points that I need.
Oh, I know who you're coming for then.
Do you?
You're going for Douglas Luiz?
No.
Okay.
I think he's a good shout, but I don't got the subs to make enough switches for that. So I've been really keeping my eye on Matty Cash.
Interesting.
I think he could. I don't know if he'll be like the highest point getter, but I think he seems to be putting up pretty consistent performances, and gets in some dangerous situations. So.
All right, didn't see that one coming. All right, got it on my notepad. Okay,
Oh boy,
we'll see who the highest is in that game then. All right. Next game, let's bust out Castle and Palace really quick. I don't think I saw this type of butt kicking happening. It happened quite quickly, just in a quick first 45 minutes, 3 goals. The Jacob Murphy goal, my goal of the week, easy.
It's just silly.
It's so silly, and he knows it. He knows it.
This guy, he hits these goals, and I don't think he knows what he's doing, and that's why he reacts the way he does. He just can't believe it. He can't believe it works.
It's like, what, dude? That's crazy. I'm pretty sure on one of our podcast episodes, he was the face. I just remember his smile. It was just.
He's got a great face for it. Yeah,
God.
That smile is just so big and so just
It's like no way.
in awe of what he just did.
Shocked. Yeah, they kind of ran away with it. I'm not surprised they won. I was just more surprised that.
Yeah, I think I'm
fight.
More surprised that Palace didn't really do enough. Like, they weren't missing any. Well, I mean, they were missing Eze, but defensively they weren't missing any big name.
Yep.
It's all the same back there, and even midfield minus Eze was more or less what you would expect from them. I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know. It's maybe Newcastle being at home just gave them enough fan support to kind of throw Palace off their game a little bit, or
I think
the
Champions League win gave them a boost of confidence. I think that was a big one against the PSG. So they're probably rolling with that momentum. When during the winter, when things start to slow down a little bit and when things get a little colder, I think that's when we're going to really start to see a change in how fast these teams are scoring. Because when the weather gets better, we'll see the team start to like rise again. But the only team that shined last year was kind of Man U when Rashford went on this streak. Everyone else was kind of like dormant. Even Holland. I remember there was a streak where we went with Holland where it was like this dude just stopped scoring. Like, and then the weather got better and it was like, okay, this dude's putting up record scoring goals. This all makes sense now. Chance Eze comes back for Palace the beginning of November. I think that'll be huge for them. You can definitely see not only in just the stat department, but just with their play. He's the heart of that team.
Yeah.
And without him, they kind of suck.
Yeah, I mean, they just don't have a lot of creative players or like players that'll drive through defenses like Eze and Elise, who I don't think we've seen once this season yet.
Barely.
So I mean, like that's two young, quick, exciting players that aren't out there for Palace, and you can only rely on Anderson to get a goal so often, and not this week.
Maybe next week.
Yeah.
All right, then we got Villa and West Ham. Probably the game of the week that I thought would be the most competitive.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much every game was on Saturday, so that kind of sucked.
Right.
So this was our only Sunday game. So like I was gonna wake up for it anyway to watch it, but I woke up like pretty excited because it was. I think going into it, they were 5-6 or 6-7 or something. So like, both fighting for the win. Clearly, like no one was going to settle for a draw, and it just looked like West Ham of last season. They did not look like the same team that we've seen cause so much issue, for so much of this season.
Aston Villa played really good. Mm-hmm. I think we got to give them credit where credit is due. Sure, yeah. They definitely were on top of their game. I don't want to say West Ham wasn't on top of their game for the first 30 or so minutes. I was like, this is going to be a game. And then, dude, they just broke the seal and never looked back. After that, it was whatever they wanted. That it was going to happen. I felt like 4 goals was almost... I felt like it took them too long to get to 4 goals. And the one goal that West Ham got was ridiculous. Probably the most ridiculous own goal I've seen in a long time. Not just because of how far away it was, but it hit 2 players and like the keeper was already going one way, and it was like, okay. And then the fact they actually gave it a goal to Bowen, which we've had our side talks about, ridiculous. But for fantasy stat wise, it's like that is a significant goal. Like that can change one person's team from being in top 5 or not.
I mean, I think when we were inputting stats this week, we have Susek in our league, and he did nothing of note for like at least the stats that we track, right? And I feel like we have a pretty good spread of moments in games where like you should have a stat that we can track, and for him to just put up nothing was, I guess, reflective of West Ham on the day and maybe how they set up and intended to play, where he's got goals in him if you can get him in the right position, but beyond that, like he's a pretty good defensive mid for you too, and like he didn't do anything. He got, no tackles, no blocks, no interceptions, not even one clearance. Like, the dude played 66 minutes, so he was out there.
It tells me he had 14 touches, and he had 8 passes. So it tells me he wasn't intercepting balls. He wasn't in the right place. So when Villa was on the attack, he wasn't doing anything to cause disruption. And on the flip side, Paqueta was getting most of the touches on their attack, so like Susek wasn't ever pushing forward, because I feel like if he was pushing forward, he'd have some touches.
I
think Villa just played the the best way they could have done it and just shut down West Ham's strong points. And that's like when Susek is attacking, that's when you're worried about a 6'6" man, running into your box. You got basically a second striker coming in there with Antonio, who's playing defense for you for a majority of the game. So it's probably a shock to see when you're a keeper.
I just feel like West Ham is taking too long to get Kudus like into the starting lineup.
Me too.
He's quick and has a good shot on him, and is a good dribbler and all this. So it's like that brings a little bit different dimension to your game. I don't know exactly where you'd slot him in. I guess maybe this game it would have been instead of Susek, so at least you kind of have an attacking four rather than a kind of defensive mid parading as like a center attacking mid sort of vibe. But I don't know. You spent that money on him. He's an exciting, promising player. Like I think time to get him in there. Like,
yeah, 20 minutes for him isn't enough.
Yeah.
But so you would say Susek over Kudus?
I mean, for the way they set up, yeah, I would go for that. Alvarez I think is good enough as a defensive minded player that he can kind of hold it down. And I think that would allow James Ward-Prowse to like push up a little bit more, which I think is where he's better.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Got that one wrong for sure. Like,
yeah, 4-1. That was crazy. I didn't.
Yeah, did not expect that.
But hey, good for Villa making a push for that top four, which is
you see your list,
dude.
Still,
I think it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
I mean, it still can. With the way that Villa started, it looked a little bit like shaky, but you just saw a bigger picture here.
Yeah, they needed a kick in the ass to get themselves going. 5-1 against Newcastle, Chad, game one, and then they've been smoking teams ever since. So
yeah.
All right, we gotta do it. We gotta talk about Tottenham and their freaking win again.
Tottenham.
They beat Fulham. How'd we feel about that?
Expected, I'd say. Like,
credit where credit's due.
Yeah, they looked good. Like, they're playing quick, attacking football, which is, I think, better suited to the squad and as a whole compared to like when Harry Kane was there. They tried to play on the counter and kind of didn't ever set up right to do that well. So then Kane has to drop back, and then he's not up there to receive the ball, and yada yada yada. But I think Madison was probably their best signing, I'd say.
Dude.
He was already creating a lot of situations at Leicester when Vardy and Iheanacho of last season just could not do anything with. This season, different story, I guess.
Wow,
but,
you went from 35-year-old Vardy to in his prime years son.
Yeah,
and that's a big change.
Yeah. So I mean, Tottenham looks good. They're getting the points against teams that they should be getting points against for the most part. I think it's fair to say there's been some luck in the points that they've gotten in some games, like that Arsenal game. Jorginho's little mistouch is all it took, and still good on them to capitalize on that. We don't got to talk about the Liverpool game again because did like a whole episode on it.
Damn right we don't talk about that again.
So I mean, yeah, but it's like we said, they're playing a lot of low table teams with like a touch of higher end teams here and there. I think their position is deserved currently, but I do think some questions will start to get asked as the season goes on, and especially if some injuries come up. Like, we know Madison has been fairly injury prone in past seasons, and I think some of the worst times I've seen Tottenham play this season is when Madison and Son get subbed off at the end of games. So, other teams are pushing for a goal to try and get something, but like Tottenham as a whole looks very different without those two out there.
And Madison has already been injured this season,
Mm-hmm.
and his track record is to just get hurt multiple times throughout the season. Son is kind of a workhorse. I think he'll make it through the season just fine. But I agree with you. I think if it weren't for Madison, I don't think Son would be where he is right now in terms of playing status. So yeah, if Madison goes down, I think Tottenham's in big trouble.
Yeah. And I think now we're gonna kind of start to get into games where we can actually see like what this Tottenham team is made of. Like this week they got Palace, but it's a quick turnaround, Monday to Friday. So, not a lot of rest for Tottenham players. Could be a recipe for
they play on Friday.
Yeah, Monday to Friday. So, if Madison is injury prone as he was in previous seasons, like that's not the turnaround he wants for sure. But then after that, then you go into Chelsea. A Wolves team that's looking like they're coming alive. Then Villa, then City, then West Ham, then Newcastle. Like they're starting to get into the nitty gritty of the teams here, and be interesting to see what they can do. I don't want to be like a lot of the fans, or they just kind of like shitting on Tottenham because they're Tottenham. I think they've earned their points to be up there, but there's still a lot of question marks, I'd say.
They're playing really good. They are playing really, really good. And Ainge ball is real. They've gotten lucky, yes. There's no doubt about that. But they've also been playing the best they could possibly play. So it's like you got two sides, To win a championship, it takes a little bit of luck and I think lack of injuries. And so far, they've kind of had both of those things happening for them. Will it continue? Time will tell. But it's fascinating to see them at the top of the table, though. But I feel like I've been here before. I've seen them at the top of the table.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean much now. God, it's still so early. We're only 9 weeks in, and I still feel like, well, it's the truth. We still have a long way to go.
I mean, part of me, like the smallest part of me, is here for the hilarity that would be Harry Kane actually finally leaves Tottenham and then they finally win something. Like, I don't want them to, but it just feels like the perfect like movie script or something. Right?
What do you even say to that?
Harry Kane was the problem.
Harry, how do you feel about Tottenham winning after you've left?
And that's the thing too, is I want to see those questions asked. Like,
pretty great for them. It would go something like that, but he's like, I'm happy here in Germany. But deep down he's hurting. Gotta be. Why would you not? For his sake, I hope. Do you think deep down he's saying like, I swear to God, they better not fucking win shit? Is that weird?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's, he watches the games and just sees how kind of like quick and, attacking they're playing now, and kind of wishing that he was a part of that.
It's like that meme, a little white monkey where it's like this.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he's doing.
Like regardless of their wins and position in the table, I think like he just went through like so much shit team after like, oh, they're promising, and then they just like shit the bed. Like he went through so much of that, and now to like see a team that's like kind of actually clicking and like playing well, and I if he's as big a Tottenham fan as he says he is, I'm sure he wishes that he was at least around for one season under this, but too bad, so sad.
Would be some funny shit though if they won. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope it doesn't, but if it does, we got that one little bright spot that we can that we can pick on. All right, not too bad. All right, Chad, let's do our player goal and team. start with team. For me, it's got to be Aston Villa. That was the hype game of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I think yeah, it was going into it. It should have been a much tighter contest, but I think a little bit on West Ham just didn't play well, didn't set up well. But Aston Villa came to play and proved it, and they easily took the lead over West Ham and jumped them in the table and um, making a good push. That's for sure.
Douglas Luiz is scary, dude. He's a guy that I don't want to bump chest with. Like, I don't want to, like, if he tackles me and we stand up at the same time, I'm walking away first.
Thank you, sir.
I thought, yeah, it's just like, I'm apologizing for him tackling me.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, I'm so sorry I made you do that. That's how I feel about him. So, and that's why I'm nominating him for my player. 2 goals, great banger, great PK.
Yeah. I had him as, yeah. He runs that midfield pretty well. He's definitely, leading my list of players this week. I think your only other one, Jacob Murphy, he got his silly goal plus 2 assists. So, like, he was out there working. But then I think you take into account, the teams you're playing against and, context. Like, we always try to use context in these decisions, and you were 5 or 6 or 7, whatever it was going into this, and yeah, I think Douglas Luiz and Aston Villa, they win 2 categories.
Do you know that Ollie Watkins was chosen as as player of the match though, and not Luiz?
Really?
I was kind of surprised. Like, yeah, he had a great goal and an assist, but I feel like in terms of dictating how that game went, it was Luiz, and I thought he was for me personally, I thought he was the player of the match. So
I mean, yeah, looking at stats, but okay, so 2 goals to 1 goal, 1 assist. They both had 2 shots on target. Douglas Luiz. Where are we at here? Yeah, Douglas Luiz had 3 key passes to Ollie's 1, plus some tackles and blocks and stuff. I don't know. It seems like Douglas Luiz had the better game there and more important game there.
73 passes, 88% passing percentage to Ollie Watkins, 23 passes, 73%. Big difference.
Yeah.
He had 6 crosses, so he was creating. Watkins, was the one trying to receive the crosses, and none of them happened. I don't know. I feel like people are biased.
I think it's just one of those of
Striker
people
bias.
like strikers. Yeah,
Striker bias.
Not here. We recognize.
No. Yeah, we see those defensive mids putting up work. Goal. Murphy.
I think it's got to be Murphy. Like, it's just such a. Not only is it great, like, 2 players with just a 1-touch, like, Trippier's 1-touch assist to Murphy's 1-touch kick, volley, I don't know, lob, whatever that was. But it's maybe not the prettiest goal, but it's definitely one you don't see often. It was fun. It was silly.
And I think his reaction made it sillier. And then the fact they ruled it offside, and then the fact that it was a goal just made
the drama.
Oh my god! If Mudryk would have been attempting to shoot, if he would have made me believe that he attempted to shoot that ball, that could be my number 1. But
yeah,
we all knew he was crossing that ball.
Yeah, and I feel a little bit the same about Declan Rice's goals. Like, Declan Rice definitely shot that,
sure,
but he benefited from Sanchez not being where he should be because he made that pass and all that. So, like, great goal, and you love a goal from distance. But same with Mudryk is like great goal, but like you didn't mean that, and had you've been in a position and were like actually shooting, I think Raya would have been in the correct position. He's he was positioned purely to stop a cross or the near post header or something. But
Yep.
It's just one of those lucky goals that a cross that turns into a goal and you just take it.
I feel like with Rice's goal, if someone were to hand you or I a ball and so you get 5 chances to put this ball in the back of the net where David Sanchez is right now, I think we could figure it out.
Yeah. Would it look as pretty? I don't think so.
No, but it was like, but there's the keeper is standing right next to you, and you got to kick the ball over there.
Yeah.
Not saying it's not difficult. I'm just saying, like, I think if person could kick a ball and get lucky enough to hit it in a corner where he couldn't get it. I mean, that was Sanchez's gift. He gift wrapped that to Rice and said, "Shoot it on me," which is the most bizarre play of the weekend. If we had an award for that, that is number 1.
Yeah, definitely.
Still technical though, but all right, Chad. I think we nailed it. And then Champions League today, Arsenal, congrats, beating Sevilla.
Yep.
Fun, scrappy game, man. Sevilla is tough, dude.
Yeah, I was nervous going into it, especially being away. Like,
they just run into your hips. They run into your spine.
Look, they got Sergio Ramos on that team now. He's telling them all the dirty tricks.
It's not good. It's pretty terrifying. Man U barely got out alive. City plays tomorrow and
Newcastle
tomorrow, yeah. So those are our EPL teams in. United very lucky. Galatasaray had a rough day against Bayern, so Man U is still sitting second. However, for a moment they thought they were going to be almost last place in that group at one point of the day. So I won't be shocked if it happens. How many games in are we? We're 3?
Yes.
3?
Yeah, now we start the back end of the group stage, so
nice.
Yeah. Love to see it. Love Champions League. So.
Me too. It's so nice. When I turned on my TV today while I was doing work and it was 11:30 Central Time, and I was like, "Oh my god, a game is on!" It was like my week just got so much better.
Yeah.
All right, Chad. With that, you got anything else to say?
I'll give you a Czech Republic update. Ended top of the table in the West. Into the playoffs now. Had their first round of playoffs against New Mexico last Saturday. Pretty straightforward 1-0 win. Moving on. Second round against San Antonio on Friday.
At home?
At home.
You going?
I'll be there.
Oh,
yeah.
Hell yeah.
East Coast is maybe most interesting. 1 and 2 went out.
Whoa.
First round. So at this point, if SAC goes the whole way, the final's at home. So fingers crossed, that would be pretty lit.
Yeah, get me those dates. We will see what we can do.
Yeah, so we'll see. Yeah. Other than that, San Diego Loyal went out. They're now officially folded as a club, Dunzo.
Damn.
Yeah, so that's a little bit disappointing. Honestly, I didn't want to play them. I thought they were going to have some weird juju around them of like, this is our last gasp in this league, and but they almost did. They went into extra time, I think, with Phoenix or something.
Oh, wow.
And Czech Republic on Friday. Feeling nervous, but
I bet.
Confidently nervous.
It's the best type of nervousness.
Uh-huh.
Sweet, man. Well, keep me updated on that one. I'll see if I can find a way to watch it, as we'll be around. But tweet it, gram it.
Yeah,
I want to see it.
Yeah.
All right, Chad. With that, I'm a tired boy. I think the Hooligans were out. Peace. Peace.